All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Average Joe Show. It has been a while. Just kind of catch you guys up. We just moved into a new house, and we decided to get rid of our office to save money. It's was kind of a tough decision. I know a lot of people were upset that we're not in the public eye anymore, but it was a decision that had to be made. Just kind of save money, and the economy's tough right now, so we're sitting in my dining room. And for my first episode back, I thought it was really appropriate to have a recurring guest on here. Commissioner Doug McLinko is back, and we're going to talk about a whole slew of things. But first off, Doug, thanks for coming. I appreciate you being here again right before election. I know you're probably busy.
Well, hey, thanks for having me. I think this is terrific. My name's Doug.
Doug.
I'm not defined by commissioner.
Right.
I'm defined by Dad and Doug.
Yep. Okay.
So
okay. Well, I want to get right into it, Doug. There was a sign that was on Route 14 going down towards Ralston, and it said something about get him out or else.
So let's get Trump out of our lives for good.
Yeah.
And it was blue. I think it had white letters. It stuck out really well. And then it said vote for the two commies there, Walz and Kamala. And I was offended. It takes a lot to offend me. People call me names. I've been elected forever. I think sometimes I'm a little too callous to it. But I saw that, Joe, and I got pissed. Why did I get pissed? Number one is our congressman, Dan Muser, had those bullets go over his head at Butler. Look, I wouldn't have cared if it said dump Trump, fire Trump, but get him out of our lives for good.
That almost makes you sounds like they're sympathizing with the assassination attempt out, and
it's why it's adding to more fuel on the fire. And then Dave McCormick, who I've gotten to be I gotta be honest with you, I love Dave McCormick. I wish we'd talk about him a little bit, and I love Trump. And but Trump called Dave up and then told him to sit back down when he put the famous chart up, or Dave would have been murdered, And then Corey Compatore, or Compatore, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. I was out to Milwaukee and I'm on a bus with a guy that I met from Allegheny. I think I've known him before, but he was right in front of Corey when he got hit in the head. It was nasty. Nasty. And then those other two guys got hit hard, and it was just a blessing from God that Trump survived that. Because I just heard last night that actually bullets went on both sides of his head. I thought they just went by the one side. And then I had a friend, his son-in-law, the state trooper. He took out the shooter. He hit him in the stock of the gun, and then he took a shoulder out. And then, of course, the other guy, the sharpshooter, shot him. It was a complete train wreck mess. And, they kind of tried to, I know I'm off on a tangent, but they tried to dump it on the local law enforcement there, but that wasn't it. The close, security to Trump was, Secret Service was good, but at the rest of it, not the local people. But it makes you really wonder why that they had it so light. And then you see a sign like that. And I said something to Zach, the other commissioner, and he just thought it was okay. I said, this is not okay.
Yeah, he was in that meeting when you guys voted on the ballot curing, justifying the position on that sign. Now, that was funded by the Bradford County Democratic Committee, is that correct?
Yeah, they'll be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've had mailers out accusing me of stealing all kinds of crazy stuff over the years. But that, when you have our congressman, who's a friend of mine for a few decades, almost get killed, the bullets go over his head, and you think that's okay? It's not okay. And it wouldn't have been okay if it was Biden or Harris. That would not be okay. And I'm not so much a Pennsylvania Republican, although I like state committee, a lot of great people. I'm a Bradford County Republican. Big difference. And we got patriots. We would never do anything like that, ever. Yeah. Issues, good. But get them out of our lives for good, sorry. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, if you folks haven't seen that sign, it's going down 14. It's right before
220.
220, okay.
It's right when you come out of Ulster. You'll come down through the rock cuts before you get to Milan or Green's Landing. It's right there on the right. You cannot miss it.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to see, especially around here. I know a lot of the leftists will probably get on me for this, but this area is mainly conservative, mainly right-wing.
The Democrat Party right now has a hardcore left segment that's kind of running it. I'm not going to get any names because I don't want to give them any notoriety. And they know who they are, and I know who they are. And they do not, fit into, their crap that they do, their wokeness that they like to spew throughout the county that does not match our county. because the Bradford County Democrats, regular John Sullivan commissioner, whom I love, that's not him, right? And they're way over to the left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it's funny too. So you guys just voted on the ballot hearing.
Yeah.
It was a couple weeks ago, and
right.
It felt like that room was heavily on the left side.
That's what it was. I mean, it's all the.
Why do you think they're so clamping down on wanting ballot curing and the ability to correct a false ballot? Like, isn't it easier to try to get your ballot right the first time so that there's accuracy?
Well, full disclosure, I hate the mail-in ballots. I did the lawsuit against Act 77 Commonwealth Court, which is a mail-in ballot law. Just a little quick walk down memory lane. State legislature have never been held accountable for what they did. They never looked to the local election board, which is the three commissioners. Our election director, Renee Smith-Core, does a great job. Never went to the Republican or Democrat Party committees in any county, anywhere. They just crammed it down our throat and it was unconstitutional. They knew it and we proved it. And then it gets to the hack Supreme Court and they overturn it. And I think that, all the people that have worked so hard in this election because they're confused because of Act 77, and that state legislature has never done a damn thing to try to rectify any of it. They just brushed their hands off, walked away, and gave it to us. I'm not happy. And I think there should be prices to be paid.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people probably are wondering why right before the election do you get rid of ballot curing? Why
wouldn't we? First of all, I'm not... I believe in one day, one vote, paper ballot ID. And I don't know how Trump's going to do it, but we have to get there. This is a mess, what's going on. Pennsylvania is a mess. I talked to our GOP solicitor, great guy, for Pennsylvania committee. Like I said, I love state committee. I do. But I'm a Bradford County Republican, Tom King. And he said there kind of are no rules. Because we want to do it right. But if you go and screw your ballot up when you vote in a precinct, guess what? You don't get you don't get a mulligan.
And it moves from pending to canceled, right?
So
there's a lot of jargon.
Yeah, this Al Schmidt, he's a Republican. He's a left wing guy from Philadelphia. Remember, I'm suing him right now. There's a patriot group that I work with because of the Help America Vote Act and what he's done. How he's misled a lot of counties. A long story. But no, they went they put on from canceled to pending, and so people go in and see their ballots. Pending tells them that they can go in and cure it. Well, we're not governed by law to do that. If it's canceled, it's canceled. You mess your ballot up, you've got it. One thing we did do, and of course, Supreme Court, they're running elections, not the state legislature, but they said that you could, if you mess your ballot up, there's 66 now right in our county as of this morning, 66 that are messed up, where you're not dated or you didn't sign them or whatever's not done correctly. You can go in and request a provisional ballot. We allowed people to do that. And I'll give you an idea of how you don't get a mulligan on voting, and I want to get to paper. But we'll use those marking machines. And don't let anybody tell you they're perfect. No, they're not perfect. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not hooked to the internet, I'll tell you that. In Bradford County elections, we need people to go vote. But those machines are machines. And I like paper ballots, because, we found out that even on those marking devices that I was sorry that I agreed to do it. And they flew the owner of the company came in, or president, or whatever the hell he was, and it was interesting that their main business is doing gambling machines. This is the problem with these things. So anyway, I found out that with that barcode, you could have voted on every machine. Now they fixed it, but what didn't they fix? You can have confidence in your elections, okay? But we have to get to paper ballots. We have to do it very systematically. We have to include everybody and do it right, not just rush to paper ballots. But they'll say, well, they're a marking device. You get your... No, that's not good enough. I want the paper ballot.
Yep.
Because then you've always got that hard copy. But yeah, we just said like Trump, the weave. Because I think it's a attention deficit disorder. If you want to know the truth,
gives you a little bit more information on stuff, though. Yeah.
But the thing is that like in the last election, we had about 6,000 undervotes on auditor. So people, my dad was a patriot and he was the toughest guy I knew, but he always questioned, now I got to vote for 2 to elect 3. People couldn't get it. There were 6,000 undervotes on an auditor. If you got home and said, I should have voted for 2. You're not going to get back in there and do it again. So it's just a policy. Decided it. It's fine. We have a lady that was bedridden. I'm not going to mention her name, but we let her get an emergency ballot through the courts. Fine. We told her to do that. And so make sure she could vote. She could not get down to vote. She could not do a provisional, and she wanted to vote. So that's what we did.
And it was such a big story that the New York Times came to the meeting when you guys made the decision. That's how big of a decision it was. I mean, I think it's kind of substantial to see that a small county like ours is taking a stand against, what potentially could lead to voter fraud.
Well, and I keep telling people, Bradford County is a 6th-class county, 65,000 people. Don't ever look down upon our county. I mean, our county is looked up to across the state, because of a whole host of things. And, but they came here because I took a stand against the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Secretary of State on Act 77, and the state legislature was Republican because all but 2 voted for it, and it's in our voting right now is a mess in the United States, a mess. You have Shapiro that's already said it's going to take days to find out. Really? Honest to God. You've got that Jamie Raskins that rattled the swords to impeach Trump again. And if people out there listening to your blog, Joe, they have to understand all these allegations were trumped up. Not to use Trump's word, but they're made up. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Trump guy. They say it's lawfare. This is bad. It's lawfare. So they've already started that. Kamala, whatever her name is saying it's going to take. Don't be in a hurry to know the elections. We cannot stand for this.
But these are the things that make people question election integrity, is when you're drawing out results for days upon days, you're wondering, what are they doing with these ballots? Like I remember in 2020, regardless of where I stood, I went to bed and it looked like Trump had won. But then I wake up and Biden's got 20, 30,000 more votes than what I went to bed with. And that's a little fishy.
So we talked to a guy that just by dumb luck from Arizona that interviewed the truck driver that picked up the truckload of ballots in Bethesda, New York. I think it was Bethesda. Was it Bethesda? I believe. Sure. But at any rate, then the truck disappeared, right? Now we talked to the guy that interviewed him, and they said, you know what? It absolutely. So there's all this stuff going on. It needs to be called the night before. In January, I was at January 6th. There's 20 bus loads. I went from people from Canton, very peaceful, listened to the president say peaceful, patriotically, let your voices be heard. I also saw the GoPros and the skinheads and all the people that were shipped into there, let alone the ones that were planted in there.
And there were cops that were letting them come through.
Terrible. But that should have never happened. January 6th should have never taken place because that election should have been called, on the Wednesday after the election. And it just kept going and going and going. And I don't think it was a fair election at all, period.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I don't know how conspiracy you want me to go, but there's part of me that wonders if was COVID thrown in so that we could get mail-in ballot going so that, these, whoever can control who gets in office.
So, I have a good friend that's General Robert Spalding. He has 2 books, and your listeners, and if you've never read them, one is War Without Rules. He just put it out. He basically interpreted a play manual by 2 colonels of the Chinese Liberation Army, the CLA, and it was written, I think, in the late 90s. And basically, it's in what it is how the Chinese could take over the world without doing a shot. And they're doing it. It's a play-by-play. He just is a terrific job. But the first one he wrote was called Stealth War. And that was on China's technology theft and a lot of things that are going on. General Spalding was out of 2 different White Houses. I'm going to get this messed up, and I wish I had him to give the correct title, but he did. He was in Beijing. He speaks fluent Mandarin, smart guy, tough. He was a stealth fighter. He's a brigadier general, really good guy. He believes it was manufactured and released. And that was right at we had a rally when Steve Bannon spoke, and then General Spalding was there and spoke live, and both of them agreed. So whether you believe it or not, I like what the old saying, there are no conspiracies and there are no coincidences. So
yeah, it's crazy to see. Well, I'm going to do a weave here really quick. And Canton,
Canton Borough.
Canton Borough. We has had a lot happen since we filmed our first episode. I believe it was July 15th that we filmed.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah. So you probably know borough manager.
Yeah,
I guess she was put on 90-day suspension. She will, I believe, officially be terminated as of this month's meeting. You had the mayor step down. You've had multiple council members step down. What is your reaction to what has happened in that town?
Well, if what the goal is take control of what you were elected to do, which serve the people that you should love, and it's amazing because I told people that run for office, if you don't love the people you serve, don't run. I mean, you have to love them, even the jokers that are very tough to love to put the billboard up and stuff. You got to love these people. You're serving them, but if they're doing a job and they're taking control and they're going to do what they were elected to do, is make decisions, because that's what councilmen do, make decisions and do it from themselves and not to be led or have somebody out front telling people what to do or whatever. That's the way it should go. I'm sorry to hear that other people had stepped down and stuff, but you're elected for a reason. I mean, at the county, we're elected. I'm elected as a decision maker. I'm not elected as a CFO or a CEO or whatever people think, or a department head. I'm not a micromanager, but I am who I am. And I think people, if they know me or if they read your paper or whatever, they know that I let people know where I'm at right from the beginning. And I can be wrong and I can change, but I want people to know exactly where I'm at. And if I'm wrong, people always say, well, you're doing a good job. I don't know if they mean it or not, but I always appreciate it. But I always tell them, if you see where you don't agree with me, tell me, because that's the only way we can learn. But I am not going to let a unelected bureaucrat run county government. When I got elected, that's what the hell was going on down there. There was a bunch of directors that were running the county government all over the place. And it took my first term, which was tough because I was in a majority Republican. I wasn't a majority of the board, and then into the second term when Mark and John came back, and we took us about a term and a half to clean house. Just get rid of them. Just get rid of them. If they're not doing their job, bam, you're gone. Get somebody in there. We have really good directors now. We have really good elected officials. Everybody works together. And I'll tell you what, Joe, when you talk about, in business, you have to save yourself into a profit. You do. And because I've been in business my whole life, it gets ugly. It's no fun at times. And, my son and I, we have rentals and we do some other things together. It is no fun. But this high inflation, which it just pisses me right off to hear these clowns, well, inflation didn't go up much less. No, the prices didn't come down either, right? Well, it's no different from county government or what Canton Borough's going through, or any of us. We had at the county level, we had 11.5% increase in our health insurance. Our jail, Joe, the medical at our jail is about $4,000 a day to take care of those 160 inmates. We've got terrific judge, got terrific DA. I don't want to jinx anything, but we used to be overcrowded. They got it under control. They're sending people to state. $6.5 million out of general fund. We collect $11 million just to run the jail. It's just what we're going through. And there's no, at least I'm not going to vote for a tax increase. I don't believe Darrell is as well. But we're dipping into our savings because we are not going to pass a tax increase or anything on to people this year in this high inflation. And these people that had the audacity, and I don't know why people want to vote for somebody that gave us all that. It does not make any sense to me whatsoever. But, with the high gas price, high fuel prices, the high insurance, car insurance, I don't need to go through it. You listen to it on the radio, on TV every night, but it affects county government as well. But I'm proud of elected officials that take the stand and grab it, do it, show who they are, make their decisions, and don't let an unelected person, no matter who it is, run the show. And that's the problem with Washington. That's why I was a Trump guy long before he came down the escalator. Never thought he was as tough as he is, because we need somebody and I know for a fact he's going to be ready to go. I know this for a fact, to go down there and clean these unelected people out that are destroying our country. So it happens at the national level. It happens at the state level, and then it happens at the local level. So I hope it's a good result for Canton Borough. Kudos to everybody for taking the bull by the horns and making sure that they show everybody who they are, what they stand for, and what their decisions and how they vote.
It was interesting to see, which I think a lot of people knew once the manager was out, the mayor, stepped down, and it was kind of like this. I don't want to say a ring of corruption, but it was almost like they were working for the manager instead of the town, and it was unfortunate to see. But I'm glad that it did happen because you're almost having a draining of the swamp in Canton.
Well, it's got to happen everywhere too. I mean, I'm not I sit on some boards I really love. Like I sit on the Serve board and some other boards but you take like even boards, the directors sometime will run the board members. And I don't understand what the hell is that all about, and they lose their minds and it's just weird. But, at our, the board of commissioners over there right now, we make decisions of ourselves. Sometimes we argue, and sometimes it's not pleasant, but at the end of the day, people at least know where I stand because everybody says rhino today in today's world. To me, Joe, either you're a patriot and you love your country, you love your county, you love your commonwealth. This rhino stuff doesn't cut it anymore. And the word conservative. So if you're a rhino, you need to go somewhere else. We're at a crossroads for our whole nation, as you know. Hey, Bradford County. I mean, look at our gas industry. The royalties are down. We can't get the gas out of here. They dropped every drill. I think Chesapeake, was in a whole nother story, merged with Southwest, and they bought Chief, and they're going to be the biggest developer. We've got to make sure.
Monopoly.
Well, we got to make sure that they're fair to our landowners, right? But that's down. And you got local contractors because everything now is local with gas. I mean, you've got everybody that's trained and everything working in the gas fields and all that. But so right back to it, we've got to take control. And I hope that other elected, and what if I'm doing something wrong? One of them can call me up and tell me, say, hey, and we can sit down and discuss it because I'm open. You don't know everything. Mm-hmm. I wasn't born. I'm not a guy who can sit down and read a policy manual, but I sure the hell can talk. I can taste, I can look, I can see, I can ask questions, and I can learn that way. That's how I learned about natural gas. I travel all over the country to learn, and it's a whole nother, maybe another day we can talk about energy, but the eyes of the country really are on Marcellus Shale in the Northeast because we have such a cool market right near us. But at any rate, good job.
Well, we can talk about it. I'm just going to take a quick break. We'll get a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Still here with Commissioner Doug McLinko, but I'm just going to call him Doug.
Yeah,
he's Doug because he's a normal guy. I've been around him for a long time, and you can have a conversation with him. I know there's a lot of varying opinions on Doug, but he truly does care about this area and
love Bradford County.
He works his butt off.
I grew up. My family had a small farm right down in Franklandale, so I grew up. Anybody remembers Max Bovier's store and in West Franklin and Leroy? We grew up on Barkley Mountain. My granddad was born in the town of Barkley, and my great grandparents came through Lakewind, or some of the last to leave Lakewind, and they came over into Leroy. In fact, they were. They had a farm there, and I think the barn burnt down, and they moved to Tawana, and my great-grandfather I never met went to work at Sylvania. So, yeah, I got roots here.
You've got roots here. You've been a commissioner for how long? How long have you been a commissioner?
2004.
2004. Things have changed a little bit the last several months. Commissioner Zach Gates was elected. Mm-hmm. He's very open about his opinions, and I can tell that you do your best to respect him and work with him, which I think is great. We need that in our local government. But can you kind of talk about the dynamic you two have experienced the last couple of months of working? I did see some fireworks between you two, at the ballot curing meeting. And I mean, ultimately you guys did come to a decision. It seemed like it was peaceful, but how are you getting through that relationship?
So just full disclosure. I mean, I use Zach as a lawyer. My son did, and he did a terrific job for us as a lawyer. And I like him. He's liberal. He's a lot more liberal than I am. He's woke, right? And we don't share a lot of the same viewpoints on social issues and things like that. We work well together, but I'm not taking any crap. I'm not taking any liberal crap from anybody where they come in to say, I'm just not doing it. It's not our county. That's not who we are. I mean, last time it was 75% of the county voted for Trump. And that should tell everybody where we're at for their businesses and stuff. It's a conservative county, and I love the county. I love everybody. I've got friends that are Democrats and liberals, but yeah, some days it gets, I was getting mad at him then because he's got to be careful about putting on the lawyer hat along because, liberals can't help themselves trying to, let me explain to you how this works. No, you don't need to explain to me how this works. I'm going to show you how it works, right? But I respect him. He respects me. We work well together. And, but just to know, I will not move from my ground as being and I don't like these labels, but the word conservative anymore, because everybody's a campaign conservative. Mm-hmm. Every one of these House reps ran as I'm a conservative. They go down there and vote for Act 77. Destroy this nation is what they did. Is a mess. The voting is still a mess. Had they done it right, it'd have been different, even though I don't agree with it. So I'm not moving my ground. And if I got to get fiery, I will get fiery.
Yeah.
So, because I'm not taking it. I'm just not. It's not who I am. And I've tried to be respectful. And I don't just try to be, I want to be respectful, but I'm not budging. So, sum it up, we get along really good. But when it comes to the woke stuff, nope.
What's coming down the pipeline in your office? What can your constituents and voters and residents know? Like, what are you guys as commissioners working on right now for our county?
So the first thing is a budget. It looks like, I think it's about an $82 million, but I can't remember now exactly what it was because it's not gone on the counter. We're still tweaking it up. Hard budget. I'll just be honest, we've dipped into the savings this year to make it work. I am not going to raise taxes but there's a couple reasons for that. I am not going to raise taxes. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible economic environment we're in with this inflation. People can't afford fuel oil. People can't afford gas. They're hitting their cars. They can't afford. You hear it on TV. Well, this is where I live. I live right with people. I have 2 kids at home. I get it. And so we're not going to do it. We've got quite a bit of money in the bank. We're not going to dwindle it down. Having said that, we're going to be looking very mindful of expenses because we've got this murder trial going on. It's going to be, we budgeted for it. Could be $500,000 or more.
Is that the one that happened in Columbia Crossroads?
Yeah, kudos to our district attorney for going after the death penalty. Now, they could plead out. I don't know if they will, but this man stood tall and said death penalty is on the table. That's what we want, right? So we want, and if they're found guilty, then they should pay the ultimate price. So at any rate, so we've got a really good DA, got 2 good judges. They work hard at sending people to state to keep them out of our jail, but the jail we collect $11 million. $6.5 million go straight to the jail. Mm-hmm. So then you start putting the other things that come out of general fund, the operation of county government, very hard. We had 11.5% increase on health insurance. It's ridiculous what's going on. I recently just listened to one of these jokers talking on television about Obamacare. Now, Obamacare is good and people want it. No, people have to have it. But when you got a $10,000 deductible, and I'm not telling anybody out there with it that they don't know, and you have to dig into that deductible in November, that deductible starts again in January 1. Terrible, terrible where we're at. So we're very mindful of it. You've got, and the 3 of us work good together. We're going to go through and we're going to keep looking at things, but we also have good directors now. If they're not good, they're gone. It's that simple. I do not micromanage. We've got good directors. They run the departments. We have about 35 departments, and that's terrific. And I don't micromanage them. But if I have to, then in my opinion, they're going to be gone. We elected officials. We got CJ, our sheriff, is like a brother. I love the guy. Does a great job. Our treasurer, Pathonetary, our auditors. Our treasurer, Matt Allen from over to Troy, he does a terrific job. Like I said, our 2 judges, our DA, all do terrific jobs. Mm-hmm. Our CFO, Dan Thorpe, who used to own the Pepper Shake or the Pepper's Pantry, folks, he does a terrific job. He's a problem solver. He's sharp with his pencil. Terrific. So we've got a really good team over there. But like every other form of government, you can't cut paper clips and erasers. You've got to cut big stuff. Mm-hmm. And, that's what we're looking at.
That's why you guys had the talking point a year ago about the library.
Library, that budget got cut down too. I still am a little lost. Those people, usually you would think, Ronald Reagan said, when a bureaucrat is faced with the elimination of their department, that bureaucrat will soon find the fat to cut. These people didn't do that. They didn't come in and say, whoa, how can we make this work? It's not what they did. Attack, name call, slandering, yelling, all this over a library that nobody utilized. They should have made it a destination library. Come up with something new instead of just a regular library. And the sad part was, Joe, I think you and I talked about it. We wanted to take, it was a $500,000 budget, the bookmobiles in there. I think we budgeted about $45,000 for it this year, and take that and slice it down, privatize it, make it their own library, just like everybody else's. Pike County has there's not many counties that have 9 libraries, for the record, especially a 6-class county. So the county only oversees 1 library. The rest are all like Green Free. They're the ones in the Sarah Library, in Athens, Tioga Library, all these, they raise their own money. They get state money. They get, we wanted to take that, bring everything together in the systems board. It's a little complicated to do today. But the bottom line was, and distribute that fat money to all the libraries to help them survive, right? Well, we're 2 years in because of nonsense, in my opinion, that happened. And I think that they probably shouldn't have done that, because, the other libraries would have been receiving some extra money to help them survive in these local communities, because a lot of these libraries do a terrific job.
Well, you had the library director at the Bradford County Library salary. Whole year's salary was the budget for the total year of Canton's library. I mean,
terrible.
You guys were going to redistribute that money to make it easier on them.
So I'm guilty as charged, because we're year in, year out, we're looking at our library, and I think that's the way all libraries run. So then Mark Smith, just really quick, so we had a tax increase in 2004, and then we have not needed one since then. There was a small one in 8 or 9. It was a couple $100,000 on $11 million budget. I don't know why we even did it. So the county's gone a long time without really having any kind of a tax increase, but yeah, the average librarian in Bradford County makes about $38,000 a year. They're hardworking people. They have it. I think the average budget of an entire library is like $50 or $60,000. I think the average. And then ours is pushing $500,000. Now, sorry.
You get the foot traffic to justify that yearly?
No. I mean, no. Everything we're getting is foot traffic. You're not staying at $500,000, ladies and gentlemen. You're going, I learned a whole bunch about libraries. I believe you have to keep hard copy books because of AI and all this stuff coming down. I do Audible. I have a nice library in my phone. I love listening to books and things like that when I'm driving. So I am not anti-library. I'm anti-crap in libraries. I'll tell you that much. Don't want to see the drag queens and all this other stuff going on in our libraries in Bradford County, or I will be the first one to say, let's pull the funding. My buddies in Lancaster, 2 of the best Patriot team in the state of Pennsylvania, in Lancaster County, is about $500,000. They had a library going woke that they were sending money to, and they threatened to stop it. We don't need this stuff. Just be a library. Be a great place for our kids, a great place for our seniors, a great place for different things to do.
Well, that's the thing. Taxpayer dollars are going to fund these programs. I don't think the majority of our taxpayers want to be paying for drag queen shows and et cetera, et cetera.
Like, you know what you do in your personal life? I've got my opinions. You got yours. I got my faith in Christ, to be honest with you. I go by the Bible, the inerrant word of God. But I'm not judging anybody. But I'm also not going to fund nonsense that shouldn't be done in our with our children. Children are completely off limits. But at any rate, so yeah, library budget got cut down, and they'll be okay. And they should be excited about going nonprofit. We heard all over the county about all these people that wanted to volunteer and stuff. Come get on board, get over there and volunteer, right? And use the library in Burlington. And make it what it is. But I think they'd be best served as being a nonprofit. So it'd be 9 in our county, and then we'd do another formula of funding for all of them with the state money. And there's a systems board that oversees all of them. So that systems board would be the one that would fund them. It's too boring and stuff. But the bottom line is we want healthy libraries. In the county should get some money in there. We will. But that was completely out of control last year. Completely out of control. And you know what? They hurt themselves, quite frankly.
Yeah. So the vet center was also thrown in there. Cool. What's the update on that?
So we put the bids out, and they were enormously too high. I mean, this is like a 2,200 square foot building. It's Leroy's. And to back up, we're going to put we were looking to, and unfortunately, I think these people would have been happy with what I envisioned in Burlington. and it would have been terrific. It would have been a new way to do a library with monitors. Wyalusing High School has one. They got a lounge and they do monitors and workstations, a smaller collection. Really cool. Waverly High School does the same thing. It's kind of a new way of doing libraries, but we're getting attacked and everything and yelling and hollering and coming into meetings. And I said, I'm not putting our vets over there. No way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, Michelle Shedden, our chief clerk, said, what do you guys think about Leroy's?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew the people there, and
you're going to use that little corner store. It used to be a restaurant.
About 20, it's going to be nice,
yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. Yeah.
It's going to serve it's going to be when our vets see what this is going to look like. They're going to be very happy, and we're very proud of our vets.
And it puts a good thing in Leroy too. What a great little town. Yeah.
Well, no, it's Leroy's.
Oh,
yeah, the sub shop.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We'd have come over there, but Leroy's sub shop was there. It's in North Towanda. Yeah, yep. I would have. I'm a Leroy. I grew up down there too, but there's just no place we could have done it.
Leroy sub shop.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's going to be there'll be a meeting room. There'll be offices. There's actually Kurt Leafy, who was my cousin. They do research. There's going to be a research center for Civil War, Revolutionary War, all wars. There's going to be a bank of computers where they can access. I don't quite understand. I know what he's doing, but he understands it, and we'll be talking about it. But to work with the Library of Congress, and it's going to be awesome. The parking lot's going to be all brand new. We're going to be able to afford it. But the bids came in like crazy high. Like we expected to maybe be $600,000-$700,000 on 2,000. I mean, it's remodel. It's not a build, but it came in way over $1 million. We busted it apart, and we got some good bids in. So now we think we're going to be right back down to where we need to be. I think at $500,000. We're going to do a lot of work in-house with our maintenance department.
What do you think the timeline is in getting that?
We hope to have it done by Memorial Day. I think that's going to be tight though, but we'll have a big celebration.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, I want to get back around to the election. Election is tomorrow. We're recording here on Monday. It's November 4th. Election is November 5th, Tuesday. This is this is one of the biggest elections of our time, which I do agree. I think our country's going to either hard one way or hard the other way. Where are you at with voting, and what can you say to voters who are nervous about casting their ballot, that it's not going to be counted, not going to be heard, and something could happen to it?
So our voters in Bradford County trust your vote 100%. Renee Smith-Core is our election director. Terrific job. All the poll workers in 63 precincts, great job. People can volunteer to help. I want to go to paper ballots, but we'll do it together. If I can get one other commissioner to vote with me, we'll do it together. But over and above that, trust your vote, but go vote. Everybody's, ever since I've been a kid, it's, this is the most important. Well, you know what? Look at where we're at. Mm-hmm. Open borders. Are you kidding me? What is that? Just to jack up the votes so we have a one-party system? There's no other explanation for it. None. I've got buddies that live down in San Antonio. One of my friends, Judge James Teal from McLinko County, Texas, actually went down to the border where there was this encampment. It was on television. He said, Doug, it was terrible. Smelled. They took water down to these people. I mean, remember, these people a lot of them want the gift of America. My wife is from Kenya. I sponsored her. I met her in Towanda. I sponsored her through immigration naturalization. I sponsored another family from Switzerland that worked for me through immigration naturalization. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. It's hard. And that needs to be made, look, you can't abort all these children every year. You can't have all these people die on fentanyl, Joe, and then look around and say, well, where'd all of our workers go? Well, they're freaking dead, okay? They're not here anymore. You can't do it. If you do the multiplier over the years, and I don't want to get into the whole abortion discussion because I've had health of the mother, a couple of people, it's real. Mm-hmm. And you think, well, it doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, it does. But that's a different discussion. I'm not judging anybody, okay? But you just can't use it as a form of birth control and then have fentanyl kill all these people in America and then wonder where the hell everybody went to, right? Terrible. So we have all these people flooding across, and all these people want America. Well, my wife, we spent a lot of money. She worked hard to get to become a permanent resident, or get her permanent residency. So I look at this and it's like, it needs to be fixed. It does. That's bull crap. It's bullshit is what it is. They're flooding our country. We don't know what's coming in with, with health. I mean,
why do you think they're opening the borders like this?
they want more voters. What else is it? This is crap. And why do we sit here and watch this? I mean, it used to be 600,000. I don't know what it is, how many people you want to enter into the country. I don't care if they're ditch diggers or doctors, if they're drug and alcohol free, and they're going to be good members of society, and they're going to be good families, right? Let them come. Let them come legal. But that needs to be fixed too. But this, down there, and then we find out there's 13,000 murderers. There's all and then what makes me want to just breaks my heart are the 300 and some thousand kids we don't know where they're at. And all this trafficking and it's slavery. It's disgusting. And I don't know why we're sitting here as a nation. I don't know. I think we're all frozen, not knowing what to do. Trump has been right. I mean, when he came down, he said that and he got crucified for it. But Biden should have been impeached. And Kamala, she was in charge of the borders. She has no right to even run for president. She took an oath of office to protect and defend this nation. And they're not doing it. This is, I don't know, Trump wants to do mass deportation. You're going to have to go to the police and get the bad ones out. I don't know how you fix it, but it's there for one reason.
Do you think that, regardless of who wins tomorrow or in the coming days, as they're saying, that the general public will accept the results? Or do you think the narrative is going to be shoved down their throat that it wasn't a
So you like we said, I got Jamie Raskin talking about impeachment. You already have, Kamala. Who, by the way, Dr. Zama, a good friend of mine, dated her. This woman is
dated Kamala.
Dated Kamala. He dumped her. So, and he tells stories off. There's along with your terrific blog, there's another one, Sean Parnell, he's on Each Day Live at 5:00. On Wednesdays, it's called Savage Rich. It's Rich Barris, who's one of the best pollsters in America. So you guys, everybody here has got a couple of really good, but I got Dr. Zama on there, and Dr. Zama was safeguarded. He's a world-renowned heart surgeon. He ran for governor, wonderful guy. And, but his stories on Kamala, I'm not going to tell you here because I'm not going to take words from his mouth, but she is not, the fake person up there is the fake person that has always been. But so, and I'll just tell you for Bradford County, I didn't certify. New York Times did an article. I haven't signed certification. It takes two not to certify an election. The other commissioners right along have. I haven't. And I'll tell you why. Act 77 was I just want people to think about this. It was crammed down because there's 67 counties in Pennsylvania, 67 different ways to vote. Each county is different. Like I said at the beginning, these people the state legislature never came to us, asked us anything, nothing. And they rammed it down our throat. And it became a mess. And if you guys remember, in 2020, Wolf was running the Supreme Court to change the rules all the time. And the Supreme Court is basically the Secretary of State, which I digress, but that needs to be a voted position. He needs to be elected. No more appointed by either Republican or Democrat governor. Elect the Secretary of State, make him answerable to the people and not answerable to his boss, the governor. It's a mess because most states do that. So at any rate, it's, but I don't certify because the way I look at this, Joe, is if 25 or 30, blocks in Southeast PA, Montgomery, Chester, Philadelphia County, any of those counties completely wipes out the hard votes and go vote the hard votes of our people. In other words, if they did ballot stuffing, they did all that. I had an eyewitness buddy that called me on election day, told me what he was witnessing, afraid he was going to get his ass kicked if he said anything. Okay, this is real, everybody. It's real. And not to mention it was deemed unconstitutional. It makes it fraudulent to start with. They should have never done it. If they wanted to do it, they should have done it right. But if that wipes out this county's vote at the end of the day in a statewide election, I'm not certifying it until they get it right. That's the state legislature. So just so people know, I've been at this a long time. And this is one of the best slate of Republican candidates or candidates for rural Pennsylvania. Honestly, I know Trump, I'm a Trump guy, okay? Whether you like him or not, just dream back to when you could afford to run your pickup truck all week long and not worry about filling it up. You actually could take
$20 of gas, got you through the week.
You actually took your RV and could take the kids, could afford groceries. Your car insurance wasn't, your homeowner's insurance through everything is nuts. But I was a Trump guy about bureaucracy. So your one question about letting local people instead of elected people do it, that's what I wanted Trump to do. You wait to see if he gets elected. You are going to see one of the greatest things in American history of draining the swamp. And that doesn't mean hurting services or all that garbage. That means getting rid of the dead weight. But above Trump, you got Dave McCormick. This guy, I've got to know him.
You guys just had a rally for him.
There wasn't even standing room. The guy almost didn't have a place to stand to speak down at the VFW. Thank you. VFW up on Bridge Street, the Tawana VFW is terrific. But I've gotten to know him. All this nonsense about him, I don't care if he's rich. It does not matter to me. He's a West Point grad. He's a combat vet, and he would fit in any deer camp in Bradford County. Nobody know the difference. This guy is as rural PA as it gets. I personally love the man. So you've got him. You got our own Stacey Garrity, who's probably one of the most hardest working candidates I've ever seen. Her dad, she took time off. Her dad was very sick. He just passed yesterday or last night. So she went off to Good's daughter. But that woman works so hard, is unbelievable. Terrific treasurer. You got Dave Sunday that's running for Attorney General. We know Dave. He's from York County. He is a crime fighter. It's D. Pasquale. He used to be an auditor general. I used to have to block him on my county email because he'd send email out every 26 seconds a day because he wanted to run for higher office. Never prosecuted anybody. Dave's been in the courtroom. He's on that stream of Route 83 into Baltimore, into PA. It's like having 17 up here. The guy's a prosecutor, and he's good stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you got Tim DeFore, who is auditor general, and he's actually an auditor. It's kind of geeky, but he's an auditor. He does a great job. So you've got the best slate of candidates on the Republican side. Even conservative Democrats, you should really, and by the way, I forgot one who's very special to me, which is Dan Muser, our congressman. So Dan is just like a brother. One of the best days I've ever had in politics is when he was given our district. I mean, this guy called me up and he said, "Hey, Doug, we got $1 million for Bradford County. Can you use it?" Sure can. Mm-hmm. So we put it in our dark fiber project, trying to get all of our towers and all of our safety and internet to everybody. But that's the kind of guy he is. It's no fanfare. He's not coming up here looking for fundraisers. He's up here because he's a great guy. He's going to spend a lot of time in Western Brad soon. And he's been in Bradford County a lot because his district is weighted in Schuylkill, Lebanon, Luzerne, in Berks County, so it's weighted at the bottom with population, and we get a lot of them. If we get Dave McCormick, I said something to Dave. I said, we're so thrilled to have Dan be our congressman. He said, "You get me elected, U.S. senator, and you guys in rural Pennsylvania and Bradford County are going to be really happy." Mm-hmm. So get out and vote. Get your friends out to vote. Our county depends on it. Casey is as boring as hell if you've ever listened to him. He's done nothing for us. He doesn't come up here. He's voted a bunch of times against natural gas. He's voted to open the borders, all this stuff you see on television, hogwash. Dave's been successful, but you know what? Is trying to hang China around. It's all bull crap, okay? And he's a solid guy. So you trust your vote in Bradford County. I do. I'm doing this for fundamental disagreement with Pennsylvania in the way we vote. It is not Bradford County. Go vote. Get your family to vote. Make sure your kids vote. Your grandma votes. Get everybody out to vote, because if you don't, we will never have fair elections again. And I'm not just saying so. Just look what you're seeing on television. Mm-hmm. Look what you saw Act 77 do in Pennsylvania. It will be over if we don't get our hands on the rein of this mess, because without fair elections, we don't have a constitutional republic. You hear the word democracy, we're constitutional republic, right. Okay? Yep. That's all a farce.
Mm-hmm. I've heard a lot of people say they feel like this could be the last ever presidential election because of how far things have gone left and right in our country and the disagreements we have on each side. Do you agree with that? Do you think that our constitutional republic is safe?
Our constitutional republic is not safe at all, period. You have to fight for it, right? And you know what? We get 4 years, in my opinion, with Trump. The liberal left, which is not Bradford County Democrats, okay? These people they're terrible. And this is bigger than just Republican Democrat. There's a force that wants to see our country fall. And we have to fight for it. But when we were winning the Act 77 lawsuit, which was huge, Sean Parnell was the one that called me up and asked me if I'd like to be involved. I got Wally Zim along. He's a patriot lawyer from Villanova, and we fought, right? And but I said right then, as I looked into this, it was clear to me the Democrats, and I'm not talking Bradford County, but I want you to listen to what I'm telling you. I'm on record 2 years ago saying that Democrats can think this is just fine because the mail-in voting suits their fancy right now, but a day is coming when they're not going to pick their candidate. It's going to be picked out of Washington, D.C., word for word. Mm-hmm. Our state attorney just reminded me that I'd made that prediction, and I don't know. It's something I felt inside of me, and from the evidence that I was seeing, where did Kamala Harris? Who picked her? Did the voters pick her? No, she's picked out of D.C., right? So, folks, I don't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. If we don't have fair elections, then we've got nothing. And that's what's at stake in this election. And Joe, I'm telling you, I think that if we don't get our arms around it, then I say every year, well, we're not going to know the country. You're not going to know the country. What, 11 million at the minimum illegal immigrants? Are you kidding me? And this is not a racist thing. I'm far from racist. My wife's from Kenya. You've seen my little boys. Mm-hmm. They're a couple pieces of work.
Yep.
I got to tell you, it's kind of funny. So Patrick, who's 6, and yes, I'm one of the oldest parents in Tawana School District. I do generational parenting. I'm close to all my kids, and my son Anthony is in business up in Sayre. We have business together. And I started when I was 19 with him. I got 4 kids, Anthony, Bradley, Marisha, and Ashley. And then I've got these 2 little guys. So my 6-year-old, last Wednesday, went down to Wyoming County to a huge, and I'm telling you guys, Lake McCormick, it's huge. There's 300 people down at Stonehenge Golf Course. And Elias, my 8-year-old, he wanted to meet Dave McCormick. And I took him to a Trump rally. And that kid at 8 years old listened to every speaker, all of them. And we were close and all that. But we get down there, and Patrick says to me, he goes, Dad, every big house we went by, does Dave McCormick live there? So you see that stuff on YouTube, But I can tell you that the Dave McCormick that is boring Bob Casey, who's done nothing, tried to portray him as is hogwash. He's a patriot, combat. I didn't like how Trump, the whole Trump thing in the last election with Senate with Oz. Forget that. They get along great. Trump loves this guy. His wife, Dina, was born in Egypt. And she worked in the Trump White House. Everybody's is really gonna look. Bob Casey's got a record. Mm-hmm. I got friends in Lackawanna County who are Democrats that have had it with him too. So please, again, vote. Get everybody out to vote, and then keep calling tomorrow. Because if we don't, you're gonna have a country, but who knows what it looks like.
Yep. All right, well, folks, thanks for joining the Average Joe Show. Doug, I appreciate you being here today, and get out and vote tomorrow.
One other thing, God's in control.
Yep. Awesome.
So, awesome. Just pray tonight pray for every elected official, and that our country comes out the other end tomorrow, and there's peace.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Thanks for being here, Doug. I appreciate it.
Okay, Joe. Thanks.